Say hi.
Hi.
So we are doing a live, and someone took over.
They're like, no, we're doing this live today.
We're doing this live today.
Goodbye.
We have no clue what they're going to say, but we're going to say it.
Mhm.
What are y'all going to say?
We're going to talk about technology in your life. How there's none of it. No, I'm just kidding. All right, excuse us, Mr. and Miss. Come on, you sister. Come on. Off you go. Hi.
Hi.
Our seats were stolen, Soph.
They were. And we had them all set up.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So now we're like scooching them.
Yes. Oh, we're good though. Actually, we were all ready and I didn't have my jewelry on. So we had to run down the hall and get it on and come back. And then our seats were stolen. But they're so cute, right? So it is what it is. A little bit of real life for you. So it's like three hours later than normal, and my hair's not working. Sorry.
We both slept in. I woke up at like 9.
Which is a never thing because she gets up early.
My most of my days look up. You get up at 6:30 or like 5:30, and then you head to work, and then you get back at home around 5.
Yeah.
It's like a full day.
And same for me, but you know what? Today it was important for us to be able to rest a bit, and it's a crazy day. It's been a bit of a crazy week because of the crazy weather here. Hey, Helen. Oh yes, gorgeous hair.
Thank you. It's been my signature color for the past 2.5 months, which is the longest I've ever kept a specific hair color in. Like my pastor Mark is always teasing me. He's like, I never know what to expect when you walk in the door. And I'm short-circuiting a little bit. Because last time it was green. And then the time before that it was long and blue. What you doing? And I'm like, I'm sorry. And it's like, I do my hair for only you, Pastor Mark. Only you. That's
well, somebody's got to keep you on the tip of your toes, you know? Oh, man, that's fun. But I invited Sofia to come and wrap up this week for tech and our kids. Simply because it is such a big part of our lives. Guys, when I was growing up, there were not even cell phones where I grew up. Okay, so this is like, woo, big thing. And of course, as usual, this is our firstborn. So she's been our experimental
resident guinea pig.
And there's a lot of grace from her towards us. And we are so appreciative of that. Thankfully, no counseling has been necessary up until now.
Up until now, yes. Well, most of the time they're counselors anyway, so I have had counseling built in. So something happens, and I'm like, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling," and they're like, "That was our fault." Sorry.
Yes, exactly. So, parents, it's okay to say that. We're not perfect. And I told her today, maybe, because we've been sharing for a whole week about tech in our life, not just our kids, but in our life as well. And I said, so maybe just tell them whether what we are saying is working or not. And that's basically what I wanted her to share with you, because the proof of the pudding's in the eating, like they say here. And so just share with us, maybe just we've been talking about how with technology or with devices, we're supposed to decide, we need to know what they were made for. Mm-hmm. And you've heard this a ton. Is it a toy or a tool? We always discuss it that way. And so when we introduce technology to our kids, we go, okay, is this a toy or a tool? And why is it a tool over a toy? And how that helps us define things. But then not only do we understand what it was made for, how it was designed to work, but we understand how I choose to use this device. What does this mean to me? Or Facebook or Instagram. What am I? No, Adam, I'm so sorry. Parents aren't perfect. That's right. I'm sorry. Break your heart. But we decide how we are going to engage with either social media or with devices in general. And so because Brad and I have been sharing about that, I thought it would be really nice to have one of our kiddos come and share. So take it from there, Soph, and I'll help guide the conversation.
Okay, yeah, because I can just go. Like, you just say, hey, talk about this. Sure, you're welcome. And we'll be here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like a little schizophrenic gerbil on caffeine. Like, it's like, you know, that over the hedge, like squirrel
The
that
squirrel.
like drank the energy drink and was going faster than the lasers. That's me.
Yes, there you go. Now speak up, because I'm loud.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm
you're
like,
being very
hi,
sweet.
how are you?
Yes.
Okay. Hello. So,
Hello.
I think with technology, it's always been kind of a weird subject for me because I am a recovering people pleaser. Like, that's just I'm learning more about like personalities, and I am an ENFP, which basically means that I am a procrastinator and a people pleaser. And that's me. So yeah, I love people, but I'm also very self-conscious about myself. And so I think it was when I was around 10 that digitally phones were really taking off. Like the iPhone 4 was like the newest thing, and everybody had one, even like 10-year-olds. And so I was the resident kid with no technology. We never really played video games growing up, and we really didn't watch a ton of TV growing up either. So I was just an oddball in a lot of different facts of it, and so factors of it. And I had just moved from Canada, so I was the weird Canadian homeschooler with a different accent, and she didn't watch or do anything. Like, what is she? You know, like, what is she doing? So there was a lot of confusion, and I was kind of made fun of for not like being part of the technological culture and all that stuff. I didn't have Instagram for a long time. I didn't really listen to secular music a lot. I didn't watch a lot of TV either. I never played video games. Like, what was Call of Duty? What? You know? So and so the older I got and the more that my parents gave me freedom with technology and all that stuff, it was a constant, this is a tool that they have let me use so that I can be safe. You know, like when I'm driving or when I'm at a friend's house or when I'm over here, you know, I have my phone so I can text them and call them and communicate. And it was also a really good tool to communicate back to my relatives back in Canada. Like I have Instagram and Facebook, and I text my aunts and my uncles and my grandma, and I get to see my baby cousins grow up. So that's it's a good tool for connection.
Right.
It's also a really good tool for content creation, like Facebook Lives or podcasts, or editing videos or all that stuff. So there is definitely a place for tools. There's also definitely a place for entertainment. Like, it is fun to scroll through Instagram at memes. I know. It's fun to scroll through Instagram and look for memes. It's fun to watch funny TikToks. It's really cool to watch, you know, funny viral videos on Facebook. It's fun to watch the newest TV show on Netflix on your phone. You know, it's like also a connector to your, you know, pop culture and all that stuff. But there is definitely a place and time for that, and it is also really addictive and really easy to slip into. Oh wow, I just spent 6 hours on my phone and I wasn't even texting or calling anyone, you know. And also, I think with music, music has really been my Achilles heel for a long time, because I was trying to prove myself, you know, with a lot of my friends, you know. So it was really, I used technology as a way to prove to my friends that I was with my salts, and that I wasn't the weird Canadian homeschooler, you know, and that I was not sheltered, and that I did know what it was. So it was very reactionary, and it went from, I was actually very when I first got technology, when I first got my iPod, first got my phone, I was very responsible, because my parents were guiding me through, okay, we only spend around this much time talking to friends, we only spend around this much time listening to music or watching stuff or scrolling or whatever. But the more freedom that they gave me, because they're like, now I've trained you how to do this, now I've done
and you proved yourself very trustworthy.
Yeah, right. So it kind of went like,
they
the
gave
older
you rope.
Yeah, they gave me rope, and the older I got,
we discussed it here, that's why I can say
okay, yay. You guys know that example. I say that to some of my friends, and they're like, what?
You know, gave you a rope.
They gave me. Why would you do that? You know, and then I explain it, and they're like, "That's kind of creepy." But it's like, I'm like, okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. So, but I think got to the point where I really had gotten to the place of, I'm mature, I can handle it. I'm mature, I can handle it. And then finally about a week or two ago, I was like, I'm mature and I can handle it, but it's really affected me. You know? So there's a point of I can handle it, and there should I handle it. You know? And I think I really
Which
lost
is mature
that.
in and of itself, because as adults, we constantly have to recalibrate with, okay, yeah, I can, but should I? Because the pendulum has swung in a certain direction and I'm not liking it. So that is part of
maturity and just self-regulation and all that stuff. And I'm really glad that my parents set kind of strict boundaries in the beginning of it, and like I did not have a lot of rope in the beginning of it, so that they taught me boundaries and all this stuff. And so I knew what the boundaries looked like, and I knew that I at this point I didn't. You did great, Mom. You did great. You did great, Mom. Yes. I didn't have any more boundaries with myself because it had gotten to like such a, a place of just unhealth and stuff. So I never really did anything bad on there. I was just listening and watching heavier stuff, like more language, more mature content, more immorality, like not so much of it wasn't
Little House on the Prairie.
It wasn't Little House on the Prairie.
Gotcha.
It was more like Fast and Furious, which is not bad. It's a good franchise, but like it was harder stuff, and it's good to be able to be like, yeah, okay, I sat down and I watched this movie with my friends. But if that's like your constant diet, then it really starts to get to you. And that was what had happened to me. Like I probably on a regular daily basis consumed about 6 to 8 hours of content a day, whether that was music, podcasts, videos, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Prime Video, Hulu, Netflix, you name it.
Which is about the average.
Which
from
is about,
what I've heard. That's about the average. And is that a good thing?
No, because it got to the point where I had trained myself to be constantly stimulated. And I wasn't able to, it really it wrecked my content, like my ability to create, my art. I was not inspired to draw anymore. I just felt blah all the time.
Oh, wow.
I felt blah all the time. And then when I did create art, it was always sad, and it was always, I drew something that I wanted that I couldn't have. So
coming from a place of lack.
Very much of a place of lack.
So would you say then, you're telling us that you consumed, that when you consume more than is healthy, you no longer can produce?
No.
And so the creativity is stifled, and the things that God has put, because God has put on your heart to do your podcast. God has put on your heart to draw the art for not only yourself, but people and other causes and things like that. All of a sudden, all of that creativity started getting bogged down, if you will, in the
I used to, like, I would go to sleep and I would dream about art, and I could wake up the next day and draw what I dreamed about. And then once I started...
She's an artist. In case you haven't picked up on that, let me introduce you to my artist
my
daughter.
Cool t-shirt and my earrings and my hair.
In case, you missed it. Go ahead.
But yeah, I definitely feel like it was a very drain. I also write songs, and I haven't written a full-fledged song in about 6 months. And it was just because... I was overwhelmed, and then overstimulated. And so that also, I started noticing it in myself, that I was starting to get anxiety, which I've never really dealt with before. Like, I've always been a happy-go-lucky person, and of course I've been sad before and had like emotions. I'm not saying
with all the transitions that we've walked through as a family, moving, starting a church, starting this, moving your co-op, new group of friends. Wait a second.
New group of friends.
Wait a second.
New group of friends.
Wait. New group of friends. So all those things have been stressful in a sense, but
work changed and all that stuff. So I've had several like stressful moments and seasons of transition and stuff. But this is the first time this past week that I've actually felt genuine anxiety. And I knew that it was because I was just overstimulating myself. But it was really because there was a little bit of anxiety that was starting to come from just me transitioning and stuff, and I didn't want to deal with it. And so I just kind of shoved it. I'm like, if I listen, I don't have to listen to me. If I listen to other stuff, I don't have to listen to me. And so I was trying to just like cover it up and stuff. And when I covered it up, it just started building more, and it didn't end up helping at all, you know. Right. And like, if I just ignore it, it'll go away, and it didn't go away.
So you're saying too that technology can be a source of so much constant input that now you're not practicing any solitude or any silence, which are two key components of our Christian faith, two key disciplines of our Christian faith, where if we don't have solitude and if we don't have silence, guess what? We can't hear, we can't process, we can't hear the Holy Spirit speaking to us and all of that. So what did you do to turn that around, and what's your relationship with tech right now, and why?
Well, I've always been pretty good at self-regulating when it got bad. There's been several times where I'm like, Instagram's starting to like stress me out, and I hate every face I see on there. I'm like, that person's fake. That person doesn't even like me. They don't like any of my posts. They just follow me for a follow and a like. I don't even know why they're on my For You page.
So if you want to know what a teenager really thinks about things when they look in their Instagram, sometimes it's this.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, oh, that's so sweet, they got a new dog. I'm like, they probably even got that from the pound. It's not even, it was cynical. And I was upset at literally every person that I was seeing because I knew that they didn't care about me. And so, because at that point, I'm like,
perceived that.
Oh yeah, well, and sometimes it is, they don't care about you, you know. People, well, and I, like, because I knew them in real life, and I never had an actual conversation with them in real life. But the moment that they met me, they went to Instagram to find me, to follow me, because they knew, at least I know her, and she knows me, and so she'll follow me back.
So superficial.
It was very superficial.
Gotcha.
And so it was starting to become frustrating because everything seemed fake.
Well, because we're not superficial people.
No.
Like, if we're going to do relationships, we're going to do them right. And we're going to go deep. I hope you like it. Enjoy the ride.
Exactly. And not everybody can handle that. For me, like, I've noticed, I'm like, I have made friends before, and then after a couple months of me texting them or whatever, they're like, oh, she's like, ooh, deep. Yeah, it's a lot to talk to her. So then it kind of just goes downhill a little bit, which is fine. Like, we just stopped talking, which is totally normal. But I think with that, it just got to the point where, so I would delete Instagram. Whenever I felt cynical, whenever I felt upset, I'm like, I don't actually need it. And it's not like I'm using it to promote anything right now. So I just, you know, it's not helping me right now. But I think to the point where I was starting to get stressed and I was just using it as a coping thing. That I think really was starting to, you know, so I deleted Instagram this past week. I had deleted Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Amazon Prime and all of the like streaming services that I had on my phone, because I like the entertainment genre of things. So I also like to study like movies and see how they film this and that. But it was getting to the point where I'm like, I'm not studying anything, I'm just, you know, stimulating myself. So what I did was I just deleted everything that was a toy and that was not really beneficial, and I just kept the things that I used to communicate. Like, I kept Discord because I text a lot of my friends on Discord, so technically it is a social media network, but it's more for just texting and stuff. You use it in a different way for texting with your specific group of friends. Yes, right. And then I kept Facebook Messenger because I do commissions of art through Facebook and stuff, so I did keep that so I could text my clients. And I kept like email and all this stuff to communicate, and all the stuff that was like I used as a tool on my phone. So last week I would say we were having an Anne of Green Gables moment. Yeah. I was in the depths of despair. and I said, well, babe, if you think that technology is doing this, then let's just yank it. Like, let's just pull it out. And you were trusting me with that. And at the time, maybe it felt like, okay. Right? But I knew that it was the right thing to do, but I definitely had withdrawals because before I had never gotten to the point where I was so dependent on it. And I was able to just self-regulate and be like, yo, I'm just not going to do this for a little bit. And that was my decision. I didn't even go to mom and say, hey, this is bugging me. This is what I did. I just self-regulated. But this is the first time I think I've ever really come up to mom and been like, yo, struggling with this. I know what the cause is. I know why, you know, and I just really need your help to know even where to start, you know. And I was also like, I was afraid of quiet, you know, because quiet means that I have to deal with stuff, you know. So I'm like, quiet is not good right now. And I knew that was bad because mom's trained me that it's good to meditate or just think and process at the end of the day. And I wasn't doing that, you know, so. But really, it was because I kind of live by myself now. Like, I live here, but you're
starting your own life.
You know,
you're starting your own life, and that's been a big transition for mama. But it's going well. However, so then you would say that was maybe 6 days ago. Maybe. That's stretching it. 5 days ago.
No, it was a week.
A week?
It was Friday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel now?
I feel really good. I think there's been several times where I have had genuine feelings of withdrawal. I'm like, okay, this is not good, you know.
This is hard.
I haven't watched anything in a long time that I chose, you know, like before we have family movie night, so I've watched movies with them, but I haven't like sat down and been like, oh, this looks interesting, let me watch this or let me see, you know. But I'm like, I was kind of missing that. I was like, I need my movies like solo, or I was like, I wonder what the newest trend on TikTok is. Like, what's
Itchy fingers.
What is it doing?
Itchy
What is it doing? And then I have listened to some music with my friends, or like sometimes if I have more people in the car, I'll turn on the radio. But if it's just me in the car, I don't turn on the radio. And even just not listening to that much music, not completely going cold turkey, but just not listening, not listening to 3 or 4 hours a day of music. That's been hard, you know, because it was just like, I would have a song stuck in my head. I'm like, oh, I need to go listen to it. And then I was like, oh, wait, we're not doing that right now. And we're like, oh, okay. I'm sad, you know, and stuff. And then, but I
feel that way.
Yeah.
When I'm like not doing sweets or when I'm not doing like, something,
you know, because you get all excited and you're like, oh,
my chocolate.
It's like, I think, but the main teller was, in the day it wasn't that bad, but I think the main teller that it was really good that I was like coming off of that was because I've had several nightmares because my body was actually finally able to deal with stuff that it was thinking.
This is news to me, guys. We haven't even had a chance
I told Dad, but
okay,
somebody knows.
Somebody knows.
Does somebody
know?
Yeah, Dad knows. But I've been, you know, and I realized that it wasn't because I was struggling with anything, but it was really just that my body was able to get it out.
Yes.
You know, and so I didn't realize how much I had, you know, attached myself onto it, even with the strict boundaries and the parameters that my parents gave me, that I really stopped from using technology as a tool and then using it as kind of a crutch. Not even a toy, but a crutch.
When a toy can become a crutch.
Yeah. That was, so I think this is really the first time I've ever really genuinely, you know, come away from something and been like, wow, you know, this was an enlightening experience, you know.
It was. And what we called it, guys, because we were having an Anne of Green Gables moment last week, and it was like, big deal. However, I said, babe, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be a blip on the radar. That's it. Because you'll look back on this and go, I learned a lot from that experience. And even though I've got all the feels right now, in no time, I'm going to be out of that hole. I'm just out of the hole now. And so
the fact that I was able to deal with it in such a short amount of time was really great, too.
It's phenomenal. Right? So I think as parents too, just being able to say, Holy Spirit, help me say the right words and paint a picture of hope and paint a picture of freedom and paint a picture of it has its place. Let's just whip it back into shape and put it back in its place, and you will be free.
It is good to use it for entertainment and stuff, but just make sure that you don't like let it take over, because it's really easy.
It is easy.
You know, like, we're not saying go completely non-digital, go back to a burner phone with, you know, But
Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie days, like that's not really what we're saying, but just
No.
make sure that it's in its place.
Yeah.
And that you constantly have a good gauge on where you're at, you know. And
Yeah.
so that was it's been a very good lesson for me to learn. And also for me to learn that, like, by myself, you know, like I did have my parents' help, but I was able to do it by myself, you know. And so, yeah.
You had some times when you could self-regulate and you knew.
Yeah.
And usually you would tell me after
Yeah.
the fact, once in a while. But this time, she was actually asking for help. We have a little spy behind us.
Ninja.
A ninja. But this time you were like,
Yeah.
you know, I'll self-regulate, but I think I need the big guns here. And that was such a good thing for me as a parent to see, because it's working. Pat on my back. It's working. It's working.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, Sofia, you have been just a gem. You've been vulnerable. You've shared with us your journey, and I think because from all the people I see that are watching, a lot of them have teens.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a blessing. Please do share this with your teen. Sofia's 16 right now.
Yeah.
And so,
And I've helped a lot of my friends who went through the same thing. I've had a lot of friends with depression and anxiety more than I've ever experienced. And I've really been able to help them. And just the sad part is that their parents genuinely don't know, and that the kids actually don't really know what's causing it either. They just feel anxious or depressed, and it's just a feeling, you know. But they are not having any guidance for somebody to be like, yes, feelings are good to process, and feelings are good to feel like they're there for a reason, but also not to let it control you, you know, because it's really easy to just kind of wallow in it, you know. And like once I really realized, I'm like, okay, I'm actually struggling with this, like this is a genuine thing, you know. But my parents helped me really guide me, not just like, well, I guess I'm just anxious, I guess I just have anxiety now, you know. It wasn't just something that I just accepted as something that I have, you know. Never, you know,
or part
call
of who
it,
you are.
yeah,
now.
never
Yeah.
call it, you know, yours, or, you know, proclaim that it's yours, or like put a possessive over it, like this is my anxiety, or my anxiety, or my depression, or
That's a good
you know,
word, Sofia.
so because I had to help a lot of my friends with that, you know, because they just genuinely believed that there was nothing you could do to fix it, and you could maybe use medication to help, you know, but you couldn't necessarily make it go away. And I'm not an anxious person at all. I'm a very happy person, but I did have genuine feelings of anxiety. And so it was really good for my parents to just be able to be with me and be like, those are good, that you know that you have those feelings. Because I've also had other friends that have been like, yo, I had to deal with my depression and anxiety by myself because my mom genuinely didn't believe me, and she thought I was just making a big deal out of nothing. And I'm like, we don't want to do that. We want to, like...
I need to say something about that.
Yeah.
Do you know why some of us just don't get it? Is because in our day and age, this was not an epidemic. Like, this was not normal. This wasn't, like, there were a couple people that might be dealing with anxiety to that degree, but most of us were like, yeah, it'll roll off.
Yeah.
You'll move on. It wasn't a thing like it is today. And so a lot of us parents are like, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
I don't get what you're... And that's why, because we have no context for it. But hearing you talk about so much and just observing, there is a lot more anxiety. I happen to think there's a lot of gut health included in that. But, and so it's
Shameless
spirit...
promotion
Shameless
for Plexus.
But it's a lot of spirit, soul, and body, right? But we've also not taught this generation exactly what you're talking about. Emotions are there, yes, feel them, it's normal. But what are you thinking on that's causing the emotions? And let's help you walk through it.
Yeah.
And yes, it's okay for you to come to me, poker face, poker face, poker face, poker face, as you talk to me. And I will help you because I am the parent, and that is my job description, to walk you through things, right?
Yeah. I think,
that's awesome.
yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of media that we do consume on a daily basis, because y'all didn't have that. You know, y'all had, you know, the
TV at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, the
Saturday morning
regulated,
cartoons,
you know,
done.
the regular time of A-Teams on Thursday, Star Trek's on Friday, and MTV's on Monday. You know, like all that stuff.
I was not
you know,
allowed.
You were not allowed
listen
to watch any of those
any-
things.
Of course, it wasn't Guatemala, so that would have been in Spanish.
Yeah. So,
Oh my goodness.
you know, but y'all had,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, and
Totally.
it was only an hour, or it was only 30 minutes, or 45
Yeah,
minutes.
it wasn't on
So
demand, that's
even
for sure.
then, it was, you know, regulated for you, and y'all didn't even, you had like, you could record it, you know,
Mhm.
but even then you had to wait for it to come out. So you
Mhm.
guys didn't really have to self-regulate, because it was
As much.
regulated for you.
Exactly.
And,
That's a good thought.
and so, yeah, so I think now that I can literally binge watch all seasons of Stranger Things in 6 hours in one day.
Mm.
And I love that show. It's great, but it's not healthy to watch that much TV in one day, because, you know, even if it's super good, you know, and, you know, if you want to, you know, like, I'm not saying don't binge watch or anything. I'm not telling you what to do, but at the same time, there is also a place for, you know, our family has, sometimes when we're sick, we do binge watch something, but it's not an everyday thing, or it's not
part of life.
it's not a part of life. And I think
it's an exception.
it's really easy, especially for teens, to just kind of drown everything out, you know, especially if there's something going on and they don't know how to handle it. It's really easy to just,
Because you're learning.
you're learning.
So the
you
easy
know?
way is to
The
just
easy
go
way out. This is the easy way
Yeah,
out, and it's
yeah.
fun. At least I'm having fun in the moment, you know.
Mm.
And so,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so
Wow.
that's the thing. That's just something that I've learned from talking to my friends who've dealt with it more than I have, and also just from my own experiences and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's also it's praised now with our culture. I think because our parents aren't there for us when we have these feelings or things, we either have our school psychologist or we have our friends for help, you know. And so, you know, your parents might not agree with you that you have depression, but you do, and it's okay, and you can tell people, and it's okay. So there's really a lot of in our culture, like in Gen Z culture, you know, if you have mental health problems or anxiety or anything, post it, talk about it to somebody. At least you're getting it out there, but also now it's starting to become an attention grabber. So, you know, you might not actually have anxiety, but if you tell somebody, they'll actually listen to you. You know, like,
Wow.
but if you're just
Wow.
talking and you're normal, you know, oh, she's fine. You
So
know,
you got the squeaky wheel syndrome. Is that what
yeah,
I'm hearing?
you know,
Okay.
if I squeak loud enough to somebody, even if it's bad attention, at least it's intention, you know.
Okay.
So that's also something to just kind of know with your teens, is that, you know, they'll if they feel like they can't tell you.
So you
you
just
know.
opened a can of worms.
Yeah.
We'll
Sorry.
we'll wrap it up
Yeah.
here. But how can I pay attention to you? If you're a teen, and I'm a mama who's busy with work and life and all the things that we do, and marriage and church and fill in the blanks. And I mean, I don't even drive you to ball games or anything, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So how can I best pay attention to you? Give us one gold nugget. How can I best pay attention to you?
I think yourself, not be overstimulated yourself.
Not be overstimulated myself.
Yeah.
So mama, take a chill pill.
Yeah, because I think it's really easy for adults, you know, they might not stimulate themselves with TikTok memes, but they'll overstimulate themselves with work. You know, like, I have this business deal, I have this thing going on, I have this report that's due by this time, and I can't talk to you right now. I'm busy. I can't talk to you right now. I'm
So
busy.
keep life in its place.
In its place, you know.
And give you the place you deserve as my child.
Yeah.
Which is really, because you're one of my closest human beings and all of that, you get priority.
Yeah.
Above all other things, you get priority.
Yeah, I think also sometimes it's hard because I've babysat for a long time, and it's really easy for the kids. When you're little, you don't really care about, you know, like what your parents are doing. So you'll just say something, and it's more just to talk to the person. So it'll be like, hey, this is my toy, or this is my thing, or this is my. And the kids haven't been trained to, oh, this is my thing, but how has your day been? You know, it's not a conversation, it's just talking. And so I think parents have they didn't know that they were supposed to, hey, okay, that's great, now ask me a question. Okay, that's great, now ask me a question. And I'll ask you a question. It's really a one-way conversation, and it goes both ways. Parents talk to their kids, and kids talk to their parents, but there's not a conversation going on there. So I think it's really important to make sure that if your teen is doing that, say, okay, that's great that you have talked to me now and stuff, but ask me how I'm doing, and then I'll ask you a question, and then you ask me a question.
The art of conversation.
The art of conversation, it's really good to have, and just know that way they feel like they're being heard, and you have a voice into their life, because if you just talk at them, they'll totally shut down and they'll not listen at all. You know, I don't have glasses right now, and so sometimes I can just zone stuff out visually. So if there's, and I used to do this when I was little, before we knew I needed glasses, Mom would be getting on to me, and I would just turn my vision off, and it was blurry, you know. And I don't know if you knew that, but I did do that for a long time. So, but we do that, you know, and if people can see, like, well, and they just turn off their ears, you know. So just make time for them, you know. If you're driving somewhere and it's busy, me and Mom have some great conversations in the car, you know. So, and even, you know, sometimes, especially kids, if they're really starved for attention, you know, just put your phone down. Even if it's a text for work, put your phone down, you know. Make sure that it's individual attention. It's not like, oh, that's great, kid. Undivided. Undivided attention. Like, oh, that's great, kid. I'm cooking, or I'm doing this. I'm doing. Talk to them during your life, but also make sure you're actually making space specifically for them.
Good. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys for joining us. I know that we went a little longer than usual, but it was all really good stuff. And you have helped us wrap up a great week on talking about technology in our lives, and not just with our kids, but for ourselves as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for all the comments. You have some comments to respond to.
I will. I always respond to it whenever I'm on here. I always respond to them. Maybe not in the live, but I will comment back to what you said.
Please share this with your teens. Please share this with other people. And we will see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.